Cool beans. Today I want to talk to you about understanding and embracing your season. This week as Becky knows, I was torn between three messages and I was back and forth like a ping pong ball. One of them was becoming a watchman and an intercessor. Ted would have liked that one. That I think will be on the way. The other one that I was thinking about doing is really looking at the verse, go out into the world and preach the good news and make disciples, right? The crazy thing about that translation is it doesn't mean go out to a foreign land. Really, if you really look at the Greek in great detail, it means as you're going along in the world. As you're going along in the world. So what did Josue do? As he was going along, what did Joanne do? As she was jogging through, whoa. So who's supposed to be sharing the good news and making disciples? As we go along, saunter, jog, hop, skip, wander, okay? So, maybe 2 sermons on the way, but this one I finally settled on in embracing the season. So what season is it? Do you know what? We're going to deal with Kerrville in a roundabout way, believe it or not. So seasons are what? They're times. They're adventures. They can be good. They can be bad. They can be evil. They can be happy. They can be sad. They can be surprising. They can be things that we go through at work, at home, with our kids. If you're going to have kids, there will be good times and hard times, seasons. Okay? Ecclesiasticus 3, 1 through 5 says, and I thought, I'm granting you this one, Karen, since you kissed me. I will speak in King James Version language or the authorized version. Okay? Verse 1 through 5, chapter 3. It's on page 141 or something in my Bible. But anyway, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. How many of you feel like you're breaking down? A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. Time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. So what are the benefits of seasons? This is going to be interactive if I can make it that way. Okay, so what do you think some of the benefits of seasons are? Growth. What? Learning. Mm-hmm. Rest. Cool. Variety. Variety is the spice of life, they say. Seasons really look at, in a season, It means nothing is permanent except God and his promises. If you look up above, there's a season for this, a season for that, a season for this, a season for that. Some don't stop. I mean, it's like if we're in a good season, we expect it to go on and on and on and on and on. But that's not the case. God promises that nothing is permanent. Uh-oh. That's the good. So the good that we experience will not be always permanent. The sorrow we experience, it's coming to an end. It's not permanent. So if you're going through a hard time, get your dancing shoes on, because it's going to end. Everything has a season, a time to every purpose under heaven, which means nothing is permanent. That is a promise God makes to us. God is promising you that whatever you are going through is only a season. It does not matter what's happening. It can't or will not last. So if you're in a good place, how many of you have ever been in a really, really good place and then all of a sudden, and then after a while, kind of like that bobber that goes down because you have a hit and then it comes up again? Yeah. The power of seasons. They guarantee change no matter whether you think the season is good or bad, will change. Seasons give us hope because we know that we can enjoy what there is and that will go into something else. For example, no matter how cold it gets in Antarctica, or how cold it gets in Fredericksburg or a place close to it. In the wintertime, you do not know, you're not going to throw away your bathing suit, right? Why? If it got really cold, coldest I've ever been is 2 hours north of Toronto when they had a polar cyclone. I was in this silly old place, and it was the regular temperature, not wind chill, and it was blowing. The regular temperature was 50 below. I got into this car to drive it, and this is the first time I realized it's good to have heated steering wheels. It felt like someone was riveting nails through my hands. It was so cold. Did I throw in my bathing suit? Yes. Because it was too small. No. Okay. So we look at things and we know that it's seasonal. We can do that with weather. But if we do that with ourselves, because that's how the enemy gets you down. How many of you have really, in fact, Joanne was talking about someone having a really hard time. Word of knowledge. And what that is like the enemy convinces you, oh, you're in for it. It's going to last forever. You're done for it. It's never going to change. God promises it will. Seasons, nothing remain the same. Anybody ever be unemployed? Did you ever get a job afterwards? Yeah. Leaving a job is only preparation for your next job. And yet, that is one of the things that drives guys crazy. If usually nobody's going to hire me, and they get really, really depressed, and they can sink. But if you know, God has a job for me. In fact, it's going to be better.
Absolutely.
It's going to be better. I remember I was an executive at this one company, and I was struggling the last several months there. Think, I hate this job, but I'm going to stay here because I'm making a boatload of money. I'm going to grit my teeth for the next 5 years. I'll hit 70, and then we'll have a nice, we'll be pretty well set. A new president and CEO came in, and he brought in all his cronies from another company, and all the executives go, bye-bye. I go, but it wasn't a few weeks later, then I was asked to be on staff at Vineyard. And although it was 1/5 what I was making, it got me back into the ministry. And I saw so many marriages healed, so many individuals blessed. I was, every day I'd see God do something awesome. And I got excited to go to work. When we have a crisis, in fact, what is a crisis? It's not a permanent condition. The term crisis is a human description of an event. Crisis is only a season, and the key to abundant life is to outlast the season. In winter, when it's cold, you wear a warm coat. A few days later in Houston, you take it off and you get in shorts and flip-flops. In New York, they have to wait 4 or 5 more months. Seasons give the incentive for us to plan. It's like when you're in something either good, sometimes if we're in something good, we go, oh, this is so great, and we don't do anything about planning for the next. But what did Joseph do when he was yanked out of prison, brought before Pharaoh, and say, interpret my dream? He saw very fat years, a time of plenty, and then very lean time afterwards. And so what happened is, even in the fat time, the abundant time, Joseph put money away for the lean time, put grain away, put food away, so that it could actually feed not only Egypt, but other countries around. So even in seasons where we are in plenty, there should be preparation. How should we use our money? How should we invest our money? How should we bless people? How can we best utilize this money for the Lord, for the expansion of the kingdom? Kingdom people stay in faith, knowing that whatever they're going through will not last. Seasons are always moving, and we're challenged to stay still. So the season goes by, and we stay here. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. The moon comes up, the sun comes up. Do we run after one? Or do we just, try to stay on some kind of plane or something, move slow to stay up with the sun? No, we stay still. God told Israel, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. It's like when storms come. Do we sit still or do we panic? What do we do? We watch the storm go by. We take cover if we need to. We pull an umbrella up, put on a raincoat, wear galoshes, skip in the rain, dance in the rain. We have a rock named Jesus, who is immovable, unchangeable, permanent, awesome God. And when we are standing on him, we are in a safe place. And that's the key. No matter what we're experiencing, if we're standing on the rock, we're safe. It's important to understand the season that we're in. And I'm talking about your particular season. Like Lori and her family are getting ready to move. They're in the process. That's preparation for the season in a new home. 1 Chronicles 12:32 states, there was a clan in Israel. It was in the town called Ishkar. And there's this whole clan. And it says that they understood the times, which in that sense meant the seasons. And it says, and they knew what Israel should do. They understood what was going on in the heavenlies and on earth. And because of that, the Lord gave them wisdom, and they could advise all of Israel. Wow, cool thing in the Old Testament, right? Is it not open to every single one of us now? So if we get out of whatever we're in at the time and we say, what season am I in? How do I walk through this? The solution is there. It's promised. An application of this verse would be, if you do not know what season you're in, you will not know what to do. Also, if you do not know what season you are in, you're probably doing the wrong thing. What season are you in? If life is measured by time, time wasted equals wasted life. Our seasons are meant for a purpose, it says in Ecclesiasticus. Time is just a blip in eternity, right? God lives in eternity, but he just went and he put us in time. Now, he can stand back, and just like he called Jeremiah at the young age of 18 to be a prophet, and he goes, I'm only 18, I still have zits on my nose. That's in the Amplified version. He said, before you were born and in the womb, I knew you, I approved you, and I called you. He can step back. He doesn't have to step back. He's just there. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He sees everything. He knows what you're going to do. He knows what he wants you to do. He knows what purpose you have. He knows but he kind of restrains himself a little bit. So instead of go do it this way. Hey guys, what season are you in? You want to hear from me? I'll tell you what's going on. So if he says, peace, be still. Oh, okay, I'm in the midst of a bunch of garbage and or this crisis that I look at, it's going to pass. Okay, cool. I'm peaceful. If he says, get ready, you go, okay, I'm going to hold on. He wants to talk to you. He's talking, but you have to make sure you adjust your volume in your ears so you can hear him. I'm going to use, Gary, what's his name? Trying to think of the guy who did the 5 love languages. Chapman, Gary Chapman. Thank you. Gary Chapman also wrote another book called The 4 Seasons of Marriage. It's kind of a cool little book. Becky and I talked about this a while ago at another church. But in that, he kind of makes seasons for people to understand what's going on in their marriage. And as seasons in life, real, weather seasons, there are seasons in marriage. There's seasons in all kinds of things. So anyway, he does it this way. And I'll start off with spring season, because we have a couple over here in the spring season, okay? Now, the spring season is one of the best seasons in marriage and just before marriage because it's characterized by excitement, joy, and hope. You guys have that? Absolutely. Okay? In this season, couples have just gotten married or they're about to get married, and they've emerged from a time of dating and frustration and banging their heads against walls and know that I'm never going to find the right person. I mean, not any of you ever did that, but Tom and I are the only guys that went through that. Okay? Couples anticipate of growing together closer, starting a new life together, potentially having children. There's a lot of communication. And it's so lively and so intense that they think they have it locked on the word love and what love really is. And we kind of go, we bless that time. We bless it. More of that. Happy times, more times. The spouses are feeling love, or they're just in love, embracing love, gratitude, optimism, and trust. It's good to remember that marriage is not a lifelong springtime, but it can come back to the optimism, enthusiasm, and joy many times in the course of a marriage. How many of you had seasons where, gosh, this is good. It's starting to bud. And you came through a winter time and it was really hard, and now, my wife finally got her act together. No.
When you say that, that's referred to as postseason.
Postseason. Yeah, it's called sleeping in the doghouse or whatever. No, it's an issue where both of us kind of coming out of something because it was wintertime. So we can have those spring times. And sometimes we can look at a young couple and go, I can vaguely remember that. But it can also inspire us to want to have another spring. and really do things that allow us to have a spring. The summer season in marriage is characterized by feeling happy, content, accomplished, connected, basically just cruising through. And you cruise through and everything is nice. You know, you're relaxed. It's kind of like you're in high school and it's summertime and you have a break and it's just great, right? Summertime, the thing is, you just take things for granted. You kind of coast. And this is when things, taking your spouse for granted, not doing things because it's been so easy, right? Fall emerges, where the trees are bright colors, and you start looking at others, gee, they have a really nice marriage. I wish ours was still like that. You start seeing the leaves fall. It starts getting a little chilly. Any of you ever going through a easygoing time of summer, and all of a sudden fall hits, and you go, where'd that chill come from? My wife or husband they're not so lovey-dovey right now. It couldn't have been me. So the atmosphere in the house changes. You start really realizing the differences between you. It's more difficult to do the things that you used to do with great ease. You have to talk about problems. You have to deal with hard things. And then winter comes. In Houston, I know it's hard, but if any of you are in cold weather and snow, you gotta wear a heavy coat. You don't go out in your shorts and a tank top, not flip-flops. Although one time, this is silly, and I'm sorry I'm going on a bunny trail, but I was in Indiana and they had a cold front for a month and it had been 20 below zero. And we had a scorching heat wave that came through and it was 20 above zero. That's 40-degree change. I literally went out in my flip-flops, shorts, and a tank top. I felt warm. I was out there about 7 or 8 minutes and I went, wait a minute, Rick, it's 20 degrees. You idiot, get inside. But in comparison, it felt warm. So winter is when things are really hard. Anybody ever have a hard time in their marriage? It happens. But is winter a season or not? It is a season. And so if we look at, okay, if we embrace that season, know it's a season, then you go, okay, if I want spring, then I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to start working on the relationship. I'm going to have to start working on me, working on serving my spouse, of loving her and blessing her and encouraging her and letting her differences from me grow and celebrate the differences. And all of a sudden, we're in springtime again.
How's that?
Get the video. No. All right. It is wise to examine what season we are in so that we know what to do. We can have the same wisdom and discernment as the tribe in Ishkar. We can have the ability to understand our season and what to do. Remember, the season is for a purpose, not a punishment. Every season has a purpose. Now, the problem is this. It's like the Lord led Israel in the desert up to the river, Jordan, right? And what happened was they sent spies ahead, and 12 spies. Had they listened to Joshua and Caleb, into the promised land would have been a 6-day route. But they didn't get it. So for 40 years, they went round and 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 round. And they grumbled and they moaned and they grumbled and they moaned. If we don't want to go another lap around the desert, we can say, okay, Lord, what do you want? How can I manage this? What's your strategy for my life? What are you trying to do in this time frame? It's always important, no matter what we're going through, if we have this in our mind, and I know most of us have memorized it, but Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So if we hold on to that and we know that God's for us and there's a purpose in this and it's seasonal, and what are we supposed to get out of this time, then we can be dancing around. You know, it's like I originally came up with 10 reasons to embrace your season, but I shrunk it down to 6 because I thought I might run out of time. Your season may turn into a time of growth if you are willing to dig in right where God has you. Anybody go through a season, dig in, and they experience a heck of a lot of growth? What's an example? Yes, Judy.
When Tony died, my husband, digging into that season of grief really caused a ginormous blessing in my life. And that was a wonderful benefit to that season.
Really is. Thank you. Number 2, your seasons could give your faith deeper roots. You ever go through a hard time or even a good time, and all of a sudden you realize, wow. And you just keep on keeping on no matter what. And all of a sudden you have this resolve in the Lord, an awareness of Him being everywhere. And life becomes a great adventure. Number 3, the season might be preparing you for what's next. Number 4, your seasons may have something to not only teach you, but also teach someone else. Who's experienced that? Alicia, what, like?
My family, it's sometimes like family atmosphere can be so toxic, but because of my faith, the Lord gave me grace and He slowed me down and showed me how to be more patient and soft with my brothers. And there was like this one time, for example, like before he left on vacation, he was so mad that his haircut ended up the way he didn't want. He's very particular about his hair.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like his haircut, and it's because my mom took control and was like, "No, no, you're gonna do it like this." But he had this idea, and he felt so ugly. And I me later after, because he kept like bumping into things in the house, feeling like he was so inadequate. And then I was just loving him throughout that day because I think he really needed that.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back later. He's like, you know, your kindness really changed the way that my day, the rest of the day went. Like it really changed my perspective on my day because I thought I was gonna go into this like hole of just like hating myself. And he's like, you really saved me at that point. It's like, no, Jesus did. So,
Cool. Thank you. Your season may fly by when you begin to see it as a gift. Israel, instead of 40 years, 6 days. Could have been like that. So when we embrace it and we know that God's in it, then it can be have you ever been doing something that was so engaging the time just went by like that?
yes.
Every time she drives. It's so, oh, another squirrel to hit. Is that what you mean? Yeah, things that we love doing, they'll go by so fast. But if we're really experiencing God in a powerful way, whoosh, it's gone. It flies by so fast. Number 6, your season may help you to come alive. Can you recall a time when it was a season and you just flat out just came alive? So here's the challenge. Ask the Lord, what is my season right now? How am I supposed to navigate this? And what's your purpose through taking me through this season? Those questions will basically make your life a whole lot easier. And I hope this helps to give you a different perspective. So when things start changing, you go, oh, new season. It's cool because I'll enjoy it if it's enjoyable, and I know it's going to come to an end if it's not. Okay?
Amen.
Blessings.